right, I've done a lot of videos about how the way Trump does things in his life and has always done things in his life. He does everything like kind of a con artist jigsaw puzzle. So you have certain things you want to accomplish, you have certain laws you want to break, you have certain types of people you want to screw over. You need to stack the deck in every ramification of those asshole-ish actions to be able to protect yourself when people fight back. That's the main thing. Just as example, back in the 80s, 90s, when he was getting sued, I think it was 4,800 some odd times before he even announced his run, from not paying employees, not paying contractors, not paying all this stuff. This is where my personal experience with my dad being an attorney on the Jersey Shore comes in, because I've worked at that law office. He did this to a lot of people. It is known. It's not a political statement in any way, shape, or form, so people need to stop. Derangement syndrome. People need to stop that shit. This is just fact. Research it. So the bottom line is, what he would do is, knowing that he could keep delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying each process, each court case, eventually the small contractor that he owns $4 million to will run out of money and will have to drop the case. Or their families will get sick of it, and, whatever families start fighting about, because it costs a lot of money to pursue somebody who's not wanting to pay you. So the fact of the matter is, he knew how to play the system to force himself a win, which is exactly what he's still doing today, which is why from the very freaking beginning I said it's not a political thing, it's not a political channel, it's about, this is the facts, this is what's happening. All right, this guy's been doing this since forever, and he has figured out a way to get himself into the most powerful position in the world. And while he got there, he had to use people along the way, like he has every other step. And the way you figure out who he used is you look at his current enemies list. You've got Rupert Murdoch, who he's suing now for $10 billion, who owns Fox Television, Wall Street Journal, and all of those media companies that I have been talking about, how there's limited information going into countries like Afghanistan and places like that, and in England and everywhere else, is Rupert Murdoch owns a good portion, if not all, of the media in those countries. So that's a real thing to piss that guy off, but it's also a real thing how he's been using him. And if it weren't for that influence of Rupert Murdoch that now he's done with, he doesn't need anymore. Remember, he doesn't care about his voters anymore. But now that, Rupert Murdoch got him where he is, now he's suing Rupert Murdoch over a proven story, with pictures being drawn to Jeffrey Epstein. But this is how he does that. The other lawsuits to the other companies, he's been suing people forever. He sues people because if he's ever in a power position to force them to pay up, he does, which is why he sued all these stations like George Stephanopoulos, which is why these stations are paying him, because he's vindictive enough to try and take their broadcasting licenses and jail their reporters, because that's what he threatened to do. No one thought he would do what he threatened to do already, and he has. He's fulfilling the evil promises, not fulfilling the ones that he made to his, not touching Medicare and the whole, egg prices, everything, not losing health care. But if we think about every little step of this, every single step is set up to protect him if he does get caught. That's part of it. Think of the judges that were put in place. When he first became president, what did he do? He went to the jurisdictions of every single property he owned and every property or business of his opponents, and personally either hired, put in, whatever, installed as his own choices to judges and everything else, in case he ever needs to call on anybody. Like the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop thing, that was one of his people. Like Eileen Cannon. Right now, he's trying to push through the nomination of Emile Beauvais. Emile Beauvais is actually going for a federal judgeship. Why is he pushing it so hard, and the Republican Congress is pushing it so hard for a federal judgeship? Because that's next in line for SCOTUS. And there's already talk of him putting his friend down in Florida in a SCOTUS position. The wife of the Russian mobster. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this is very strategically placed. Every person that's not appointable by the president actually asked to apply for a job, how easy would that be?